Hello fellow fanatics, DJ Bricks here, back for another video, and before we get into today's review, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you are notified of when I upload new content. Lego Marvel stuff I tend to upload every Saturday, try to. And doing all that helps reach more Lego fellow fanatics. So without further ado, let's get into today's set. It is a Lego Marvel Infinity Saga set. We'll get into the logistics of that in a little bit, but it was a 2021 release. It is Iron Man, Monger, Mayhem. It is set number 76190. It is recommended for building ages 9 and up. Has 479 pieces, and it retails here in America for about $40. And now getting into that Infinity Saga label. This line came about last in 2020 when all the movies and stuff kept getting delayed because of the delightful pandemic we're in. But this was just come up to have something in the wings just in case they did more movies got delayed and their tie-in sets. So they came up with this. Both toy companies, Lego and Hasbro, did just again provide us more sets going through the Infinity Saga, which is just the first Iron Man movie to Spider-Man Far From Home. That's the Infinity Saga. So this whole line is just going back through the movies, making sets based off stuff, making things more accurate. So in today's set, we obviously have an Iron Man set. We have the very first set based off of the movie that started all, the first Iron Man. We never got sets for that. But getting into it, let's start deconstructing it, seeing how it stacks up, starting as always with the minifigures. So first figure we're going to look at is Obadiah Stane, our first minifigure version of him. It's just a simple figure, but it's very well done. You got a brand new head print for him there, capturing Jeff Bridges' likeness pretty well. I do like all the texture within the beard there. Torso print is not new. It's from I think Chip or Dale from the Disney Train DTC set. It's that same torso. They just switched out the arm color just to make it a little bit new. And then he's just got plain blue legs there. And then he's got a nice back torso printing. No back head detail because he's a bald character. I will say that it doesn't really match any of the suits he wears in the movie, but it does get the job done. So I don't begrudge Lego for reusing a torso that they already had here, because it does capture the character pretty well. It just doesn't match anything he's actually wearing in the movie, particularly at this point in the film. Next up for figures is Pepper Potts. This is a brand new variant of her based off the first Iron Man movie. We've gotten this character before, of course, but the torso is new. There's no leg printing. She does come with that standard ponytail piece in orange, in that orangish color, which is again not new. And speaking of not new, her head is also reused, and we've seen this a couple times with the past few representations of Pepper. It's that Karina Smith head from the Pirate sets. So again, pretty good job representing Pepper in the first Iron Man movie. Only real issue I have with it is the white on the torso there. It's not opaque enough as it's printed on the black there, so it just kind of looks all washed out and in a color it's not supposed to be. But I've seen other people in the community talk about the reuse of head, which, again, if you know me, if you've seen any of my previous reviews, I don't mind head reuse. I get why, but I don't have a problem with it. Lastly, we get Iron Man. I saved him for last just because he has a whole slew of extra accessories that we're going to go over here. But first, we're going to go over the actual figure itself. This is our first representation of his Mark III armor from the end of Iron Man, of the first Iron Man movie. It's done really nicely. You get a lot of printing. Pretty standard for Lego Iron Man figure, to be honest, but we do get a lot of it. Only thing he's lacking is really arm printing, but he's got some nice back torso printing, some nice leg printing, and front torso printing. They do this nice little technique where it's printed on a dark red figure, but they have parts of the armor be in like a brighter red just to add depth to it, which is really nice. And then the arc reactor is very metallic in its printing, so it's a little bit shiny. And then it's very accurate to what we see in the movie, right down to these small little rivet details that are actually on the suit in the movie, but they represent it pretty well. We do see the return of that classic original Iron Man helmet for this figure, and it is printed a little bit on the top there with more vivid detail, just to match the movie better. And then it can flip up like it always could, and underneath we do get that same Iron Man head, Tony Stark head we've been getting since the Infinity War sets, which one side has the heads up display and then the other just has a regular Tony Stark head. And bringing in the first of the accessories, he comes with an alternate hairpiece to represent his hairstyle that he had in the first Iron Man movie, which is really nice that they decided to throw that in, because he does lose his helmet in the final fight. So I think that was a good representation and choice for the Lego designer. And then for Iron Man here, we get a whole slew of brick built accessories. You do have first of all, you have this little flight stand booster thing, which has that newer blast effect piece introduced earlier this year, that this can better slot into and stay firm on the ground. And then you get that red 1x2 rounded thing, so you can put Iron Man on there really nicely. And then you do get 3 different power effect blast pieces that you can clip into his hands. You do get 2 that are just pre-built like this. You get one where it's kind of spiraling, and then it's attached with one of those one of the hand effects at the end there, so you can clip that in and it gives a nice little blast effect. And then you have this other one which just utilizes these smaller of the blast effects as a end shield, and then uses a flame, and then you can just clip it into his other hand like that, just to have a nice effect. And then you get this separate one, which you can just take the big blast effect off there and then just clip it on and make an even longer blast effect. So that does it for looking at all the figures and their accessories. So let's move on to the main build. So here is the set all built up. Most of the parts in the set do go to building the Monger mech, but then you get this small little storage crate thing And we're going to start looking at the mech. I will take you through all the design and build of the mech, and then play features, and then we'll finish up with the crate. So starting by looking at the Monger mech. I'm going to start with size. Here is Obadiah next to the mech, and I want to start with this because this is the most common complaint with this set, is that it is way too oversized for the actual Ironmonger character in the movie, and I absolutely agree. The mech, the Ironmonger suit in the actual movie is like a little bit bigger than the Mark 1. It's just the Mark 1 beefed up as Obadiah built it. So this should have been like way smaller, like the size of like the Infinity War Hulkbuster. That's where this should have been its size, because that is how it scales with an actual minifigure. So you can just see that this is way bigger than it needs to be, but that also is a benefit. It gives it gave the designer a lot more chance to be way more detailed with this build, which I do appreciate. And the design work on this is very stellar. It was a very good build experience. Repetitive as it was, most mechs tend to be, because you just build most symmetrical ones. You build it inverted, which, you know, is kind of sucky, but, you know, that is the drawback to that. Going over the overall look, they do use a nice... The designer really used the parts well. I feel they did use some nice color choices here. They predominantly stuck to some black, some gray, light gray, some dark gray, some gunmetal pieces, and it all just comes together really nicely. You got all this detail. And then you got even more detail enhanced with stickers. So going over the stickers briefly, you got 2 stickers up here on the shoulder pads. You got, this is a printed piece for the top of the helmet. This piece, which we'll get into with the play features, is an actual glow-in-the-dark piece, but it's got a sticker on there for the detail of the arc reactor. On both arms, you got this sticker here, which is repeated on the side of the torso here. You got a sticker there on both sides, and then on the kneecaps here, you got 3 stickers each of where detailing some of the stuff here. So very nice stickers. You can leave them off if you want to, but I feel like some of them are necessary details, just the ones on the shoulder pads especially, because those are details that you can plainly see in the movie. Going over more of the design of the build, you got some nice shaping here. You got some nice pistons represented here with all this build here. These are supposed to represent the pistons of how Obadiah built the Ironmonger, or rather had his subordinates build it. You have this handlebar here, piece here, that is just clipped in there, and that is just placed there just for the sake of detail for greebling, which, you know, kudos to that. I wouldn't have expected that level of detail, but that is a nice part usage, and I really appreciate it. You got some nice use of the fender piece in here to build up some bulk of the torso. You got some nice shaping here with the arms. The hands are built very nicely with the articulated fingers here, which we'll get into articulation in a little bit. But here's another complaint I have. you have these repulsor looking things on his hands, and Ironmonger didn't have those, because that was a feature Tony put in his suit. That wasn't on the actual Ironmonger mech, because all of this is Obadiah taking the Mark 1 and just beefing it up even more. And then, so that doesn't really work for me. You got the weapons represented here pretty nicely. On the left arm here, you got the Gatling minigun represented with a stud shooter. We'll get into play features again in a bit, but and on the right side where you have the little rocket launcher, you have one of those pieces that shoots out 3 studs at a time. So, and then to spin this back around, you got these pistons here, which actually, when you get into articulation, these actually move with the arms, which is nice, because it's nice having them there doing what they did in the movie, not just being there for the sake of detail. And then getting up here to the cockpit, you can actually hinge the head up, and there is a nice spot for Obadiah to sit. You can see some of the little bit of the red pin here, some nice brown for the seat, control panel, which is a relatively new printed piece from 2020, just used there. But get Obadiah in here. He does sit really nicely and well. He actually doesn't hold on very well, excuse me. And then his hands are like pushed up onto the control panel just by virtue of where he's sitting, and then closing that back up. That just sits flush on him. And this brings me to another problem. You can see him quite clearly through the mech, so I don't think this, while it is nice getting these windshield pieces and these hood pieces and gunmetal for the first time, and they are still exclusive to the set, they could have redesigned this head a little bit to not have that little compromise there. And going over another thing I don't like, I do not like the color of the pins used here. I think that I get that they're there because of brightness for easy building, and I can see the appeal of them for the designer. They do kind of look like wiring, if you want to imagine them like that, but yeah, not my cup of tea. Again, you do have this nice little tube going from the back of the arm here into the minigun here, stud shooter thing, that is representing like the bandolier of ammo that is on that bottom. And then you get coming down to the feet. I didn't talk about this earlier. You got some nice detailed feet. They are pretty well built up. They are pretty solid, so it does give this thing a nice stability to stand on. Yeah, you got a couple of little slopes here clipped on here, and these can move a little bit just to correspond with how this thing looks in the movie. Another thing, we're going to start going into play features and articulation here, but before we get into that, part of the articulation here, I really don't like. This is another mech where they simulate a bend at the knee, but they don't put any knee articulation in here. This is all one solid build, which is a little ridiculous. I think, especially because this piston here is specifically here for to aid in the knee bend in the movie, in the actual mech that this set is based off of. So I think that they could have done that a little bit better. But going over articulation, you have nothing up here at the head, which is fine. You have a ratchet joint hidden here at the elbow. I will say they did do a good job at hiding the articulation here on the arm with the elbow joint here too. But getting back into the articulation, you do have this nice ratchet joint up at the shoulder. The shoulder pad is clipped on with these droid arms, so it does get out of the way, but those will pop off easily, especially if you start moving this so the piston comes undone, which, as you can see, it does move with the arm here, which is really nice. That is a cool effect. Really like that. But that does hinder articulation with the shoulder joint here, and that is on both arms, which I suppose is accurate to the movie, which is really nice. But yeah, you get some nice range of motion there. You only get up and down at the wrist here. You can go most of the way forward and back, little wiggle at the side to side, but again, that is par for the course for how this mech is in the movie. He preferred making it bulky over functional. You get no articulation here, and then you get wrist swivel, which is really nice. So that does swivel 360, and then as I showed earlier, the fingers are each individually articulated, so you can pose those however you want. As I've shown a few times before in this video, you do have 360 swivel at the waist, which is nice. You got a ratchet hinge at the knees. I mean, not the knees, the hip joint there. Again, there is no articulation at the knees, so you get some nice ratchet forward and back. It goes that far because the top of the leg kind of rubs into the thing, and then you get it all the way back there, which is nice. You get some nice splay out, and then you get a nice little forward, not that much forward with the toe. You don't really get that much movement, but again, I suppose that is accurate to how this mech is in the movie. All the limited articulation. It just sucks that we have no knee articulation, so you really can't get this thing in all the poses that you want, because that knee articulation is pretty important, and I don't ever like them not including it. It helps get into some nice poses to play with. But going over the play features real quick, again, we already put Obadiah up there in the cockpit. That is one of the play features. Another one is this arc reactor on the front is a glow-in-the-dark piece, so if you get it lit up really good, I'm using a black light here just because I can't really turn the lights off in my studio here, but that does get a nice glow on that piece. Lego's glow-in-the-dark pieces are typically good, so if you get that charged up really good and then turn off the lights, it does shine really brightly, which is a really cool effect. I really like that little play feature for kids. And then the only other play features here are they turned both of the big weapons on his on the mech here, the Gatling gun and then the rocket shooters. They turned them both into like stud shooters. So this side, this kind of hinges a little bit. The tube kind of prevents it from moving a little, but we all know how stud shooters work. You just twist it, and studs come flying off. So it's pretty straightforward. We've seen this play feature many times. You do get them in gunmetal gray here, which is really nice. Kind of represents bullets, but that's kind of weird. And then this one is a newer style of play feature where you just push it out and it'll fire you can either fire them all at once or you can fire them one at a time, but it does shoot out these little round orange tiles. So that is the other play feature, and that does it for looking at the main. So let's move on to this tiny little crate. Once again, we get this crate piece in black. It's only like the third time that piece has come in that color. You get some nice simple detail on top where you get some for the crate here. You get that nice new updated generic keypad print here, which is nice. And again, this should go out without saying, but this isn't in the movie, but I do appreciate them doing it because inside here you do get storage for the extra ammo for the stud shooters on the actual Monger mech. So many times they try to they just include extra shots and stuff, and then they don't have a place to store them. So I do appreciate this attempt here. You do get at least one round for the 6 stud shooter, and then you get 3 extra orange tiles for the other style of stud shooter. So does my look at the set. Let's move on to extra pieces, instructions, box, and I'll meet you back up for my final thoughts. Looking at the extra pieces, you do get a fair bit of standard tiles and plates and studs, but you do get some more interesting stuff. You do get the only power blast effect piece not used, which is one of the small flames. You do get an extra one of those accessory holders in the hand, and you do get an extra one of the new updated little panel print piece. So that's pretty nice. So looking at the instructions for the set, it's one whole booklet, and it is bound, so it's not really stapled, so it's a little bit better there. You got the front cover here with the set, box art with the set number and all that. Instead of having a little blurb about the QR code, they just put the QR code there. And on the inside pages, they kind of show you how the building app works, along with that other one showing how to build the set one bag at a time, as if that wasn't obvious. And then back of the instructions here, you have 99 pages of building for the set. It goes by relatively smooth, despite how kind of monotonous some of the build is. Back 2 pages here, you get a cross-sell for the rest of the Infinity Saga sets, as well as the mechs, which came out earlier this year. And then you have the parts inventory, and then the win thing on the back with a pirate pointing at this time. So taking a look at the box for the set, it is the first time we're looking at an Infinity Saga set box, so we're going to get a little bit more into detail here. You do have this new border that corresponds with all the Marvel sets, not just the Infinity Saga, where it's just little comic panels of various Lego minifigures and poses for Marvel. And those are incorporated onto Lego blocks, which just borders the entire box art, which is really cool. Up top you have the Lego logo as well as the Infinity Saga. On the side here, you do have that promotional picture that usually accompanies the Marvel Studio stuff. So here we have Thanos with Infinity Gauntlet. You get a nice product shot of the set on the front. Minifigure selection down there at the bottom with the Avengers logo. Top of the box again features more of that border of different minifigures from different iterations. And then you have Pepper Potts sporting the actual size reference for some reason. Side of the box has the Marvel logo, along with more of that border. Other side, just more of that new border. And then on the back here, we get another nice product shot of the set, featuring one of the iconic scenes of the final of Iron Man, where Tony's flying up and the Ironmonger is not far behind him. You do, on the bottom here, you do have different product call-outs for different features of the set. They don't really show the glow-in-the-dark feature very well, or explain it. And then above the corner here, you do have a Lego-fied version of that Thanos box art from the front. And then at the bottom, you have the Infinity Saga logo again. But that does it for looking at the box. So going over my final thoughts here. Build wise, it's a nice substantial build that just has a lot of things working against it. First and foremost, again, the size of this thing, it was beefed up way more than it should have been, but that for accuracy's sake, that is a bad thing. But in terms of it just being a toy, that's actually a plus there. It gives a kid a lot more to play with. So I think that was a good choice in the long run. It also allowed the designer to put way more emphasis on detail and stuff that would have been consolidated and either not being on the finished product, or just being relegated to stickers, or just being left off entirely. So you get a little good and bad with the increase in size there, but a lot of things I didn't like. The colored pins, they do have their drawbacks. The accuracy, the head in particular is an issue I found, where you just have all that exposed area around the figure. Some of the articulation is kind of wonky. You do have pieces that, like those shoulder pads, can easily pop off. The toes at the bottom can pop off. And biggest offense here is no knee articulation. That is just a big thing. I like seeing that on mechs. Earlier in 2021, we had Zane's mech, and I thought they did knee articulation in that set really good. So I think if they had focused better on the pieces here, they could have put some nice knee articulation there, and just did that a little bit better. Minifigure wise, you get all that you need in this set. You get our first version of Iron Man in his Mark III armor. We never got that, and they knocked it out of the park. I mean, the only thing I would criticize is the lack of arm printing. That's the only thing holding that figure back. Obadiah Stane, nice to get the dude finally in a Lego figure. And then Pepper Potts is just, it's nice that she's represented here. She's not the standout figure here, though. But all worthy inclusions, all nicely done. Though there are a couple QC issues. Namely, I pointed out on both Obadiah and Pepper's torso prints. The opacity on them is not where it should be. And another thing on the back of the box art for this, I just noticed this when I was setting this up. The little tile launchers that come out of the back, on the back of the box, they're red for some reason instead of orange. So that is regrettable. And then that brings us to the price of $40 here. Absolutely. Looking at the set, absolutely, it is. I feel like I got my money's worth. I feel like it is that $40 price tag. Like that mech looks and feels like a $40 set. It is. I do feel like it did get. Like I did get as much as I paid for it. It's just what I paid for is does have its drawbacks, but it is absolutely worth that $40 price point. Others may see it differently, but I think it is absolutely deserving of that $40 price point. You definitely get what you pay for here. So based off my analysis and ranking, this set gets a solid 7 out of 10. Pretty passable, but again, all that holds it back is certain design choices on how they chose to go about doing that Ironmonger figure. So if they had tweaked it a little bit, could have been higher, but I'm sticking with that. What did you guys think about this set? Let me know in the comments below. I always look forward to engaging with you guys and discussing things and listening to your constructive feedback. So that does it for this video and this review, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time, keep building.